The history of Tom Jones, a foundling, often known simply as Tom Jones, is a comic novel by English playwright and novelist Henry Fielding. It is a picaresque novel. It was first published in 1749 in London and is among the earliest English works to be classified as a novel. The novel is highly organized despite its length. It became a bestseller with 4 editions published in its first year alone. It is generally regarded as Fielding's greatest book and as an influential English novel. Let's take a look at the brief summary of the story. The full title of the book is The History of Tom Jones, a Foundling, and to some extent the plot is built around the question of the hero's identity. The story consists of 3 main parts. The first begins with the discovery of an infant, Tom, in the bed of the Squire Allworthy, a rich and benevolent gentleman who lives in Somerset. Tom's origin is mysterious, but Mr. Allworthy takes pity on him and brings him up with his nephew Blifil, who constantly seeks to harm the generous, open-hearted Tom. The 2 boys receive the same education, but while Blifil remains a mean and odious hypocrite, Tom grows into a brave, manly, and likable young man, sometimes impulsive and too passionate, whose impetuousness often leads him into trouble. He falls in love with Sophia Western, daughter of a neighboring squire, but is socially inferior, and so a marriage between them is impossible. Moreover, the jealous Blifil's machinations against him lead to Tom's banishment from Mr. Allworthy's house. The second part records Tom's adventures on the road, in which a host of new characters are encountered, each of whom introduces the story of his experiences. The third and last part is set in London, where Tom is established and where Sophia flees to avoid a marriage to Blifil. The major characters are brought together and, through revelation and recognition, they achieve the end. Betrayal and machination are unmasked, and it turns out that Tom is the illegitimate child of Blifil's son mother, Mr. Allworthy's sister. He is thus recognized as Mr. Allworthy's heir, and his marriage to Sophia meets with no opposition.